investigate even before the Biden administration.
You do in
Make a quick. Let me just make a quick note here.
But you keep saying, however, after every statement that you make, as if you're conceding a point when you're not. That, however, is operating as a negation. I'm sure you know this already. She should get nothing for that. Talk or don't talk. No immunities, nothing for that. Because, number one, there's nothing that she can say that anyone can believe.
So in this clip, we're going to see quite a heated exchange where we see a Donald Trump supporter, well, two of them actually, try and justify how it is that Donald Trump administration and his DOJ are handling of the Epstein files, in particular, the ongoing situation with Ghislaine Maxwell. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to sprinkle my perspective throughout, but I'm going to give it mainly towards the end. I will also leave a link in the description to the full exchange so you guys can check that out in your own time. Let's get into it.
Good evening. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America's talking about. A quid pro quo from Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice. Tonight, lawmakers who sought answers from Ghislaine Maxwell were left empty-handed after the convicted child sex trafficker refused to answer questions during her virtual hearing before a House committee.
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence. 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 I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Maxwell invoking her Fifth Amendment right there, but her lawyer did make a major offer. He vowed that Maxwell will be speaking and willing to speak and clear the names of both President Trump and President Clinton, if, and only if, Trump grants her clemency. Now, Trump and Clinton have appeared throughout the Epstein files, but both have denied any wrongdoing. Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for conspiring with Epstein to abuse children. I guess this is not surprising considering that very early on, the Trump administration seemed to want to engage with her. Then she was moved to a more kind of cushy prison that really she's not eligible to be in because of the nature of her crimes. But would you, Stacey, be able to trust anything that Maxwell says, especially if it comes on conditions like that?
You can't trust a word she's saying. First of all, she and her attorneys know she can't even answer questions because she has an appeal pending right now. So truthfully, anything she does say can be used against her to defeat her appeal. So they already know that going into this. So now they show up in front of Congress, and she used this opportunity, she and her lawyers, to make as you said, a quid pro quo. It's an advertisement to the president that I'm going to clear you. And I'm also going to clear Bill Clinton, not saying that either one of, and I'm not saying this, I'm not saying either one will have shown to have been guilty of any wrongdoing, but she's saying, I'm going to clear both of them, but you have to give me clemency. So give me a pardon, commute my sentence, take away my time, give me a get out of jail free card, and I'll do that. And the most ironic part of all of this, besides having a convicted felon make this type of offer, veiled offer to Donald Trump, is Todd Blanche, when he went down to her prison last year and interviewed her, she already cleared everybody. She said, and we can't trust that either because the Epstein files now that have been released are showing that none of her statements previously that got her a better deal in prison are true because there's alleged wrongdoing in these files, and a lot came out even today, or that Congress is looking at as we go through it. But she already said the only person who's guilty of any wrongdoing was Jeffrey Epstein, and anyone associated with him, including Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, back last year, they're already cleared. So she's making the same offer again as this big advertisement to pardon me, Donald Trump.
Yeah, and part of it is also Trump has not ruled out pardoning her.
Right.
And can I just say really quickly, I mean, think about that for a moment. And this is what MAGA failed to understand. Why is it that criminals are so open to the idea of reaching out to Donald Trump and saying, listen, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you? Could it be because he has a history of pardoning criminals? I mean, a quick Google search will tell you the amount of people that it is that he's pardoned that have literally done criminal wrongdoing.
But isn't it so striking though that so you had her being charged with perjury, 2016. They only dropped that perjury charge because she already went to prison, right? And then you had Trump's fixer also charged with perjury, admitting to the perjury in 2019 depositions, but Trump called him a liar, Michael Cohen, liar, who's only lying to try to reduce his sentence. Now, what is the difference between these two people? The only difference is that one was did testify against Trump, and the other one is willing to testify for him. It is never about the truth with this man. It is only about loyalty.
Why won't Trump take this off the table so that we don't even have this conversation?
I think he absolutely should. I think clemency would be extremely unpopular with the public. I mean, we're talking about the mastermind of a child's sex trafficking ring. What he might consider is granting immunity in exchange for her being compelled to speak, but with the knowledge that she could be prosecuted if she doesn't comply with the oversight committee. That's kind of a middle ground here. Maybe not granting her a pardon because that's egregious, and I think his MAGA base would be very, very upset if he did do that. But quite frankly, I don't think he is considering doing that because I think this is sort of a political show and a nothing burger. I mean, clearly what she's being told by her lawyers is, look, you could still be indicted. There's an ongoing criminal investigation, but in case there are more criminal charges brought, you should probably say nothing. So she's doing this little dance, quid pro quo. Well, maybe if I can pardon these two, one former president, one current president, I can get off free.
What's the nothing burger part of it?
The nothing burger part is the fact that, not the allegations themselves, not the allegations themselves, but she's behind bars right now.
Right.
So I think there still needs to be a lot more revelations from her, but I think at the same time, this has become a bit of a political football.
But then how do you trust anything she says? How can the villain offer vindication?
Well, I do think she's inherently untrustworthy. To your point, former Epstein survivors said that, look, you can't trust a word she says because she has been noted of contradicting herself from previous testimony. But I do think that the base of MAGA voters is demanding that we hear from her, even if she's not exactly.
She should get nothing for that. Talk or don't talk. No immunities, nothing for that. Because number one, there's nothing that she can say that anyone can believe. She pleaded not guilty. She went into that courtroom and her attorneys argued that the victims were the problem. That the victims had false memories and were exaggerating. They called the same psychologist, psychiatric expert that was used to defend Weinstein. And the jury saw through all of that and said, this is all a lie. You are guilty of sin.
She's a liar.
You are guilty of sin.
This is
and go away. So what do we want to hear from the liar for?
Well, because she could point potentially to some evidence that hasn't actually been discussed yet.
And you trust that?
The physical evidence, if it's pointed to, and we can actually look over those particular documents, yeah, I think there's some value there. Now, I don't know what she can point to.
She's signaled over and over that she's going to clear certain people.
No one is arguing that she is trustworthy, nor is anyone arguing that she's a good person. She is evil. She deserves to rot in hell and rot in jail between that. But I am saying that it's possible that she can point to something that none of us know about yet that could be of value to getting justice for the victim.
I think that's sort of a cover, not your cover, but a cover from the Justice Department. She went to trial in front of a jury. The U.S. Attorney's Office prepared an indictment. A grand jury found she was indicted.
Sure.
She was then tried and convicted of sex trafficking. All the information is in the U.S. Attorney's file. Right. A lot of these exercises about looking to Maxwell and putting her up in front of Congress and bringing the Clintons in, all the government needs to do right now, the DOJ, is to go into their own files and look at the original investigations of Epstein back in 2006 when he got arrested in Palm Beach and back in 2019 when he got arrested in New York. They've got everything
That's
there.
not happening.
But they're not giving it.
It has not.
I just want to say really quick, don't you guys think it's interesting when MAGA, when they come on this show, or when you ever see them when they're defending Donald Trump, the ongoing humiliation ritual I speak about, one of the things that they always do, especially when it's a topic that it's not, when it's a topic where everybody leans more to one side, so i.e. with the Epstein files, whether you're left, whether you're right, whether you're down the middle, everybody believes that there should be people held accountable for what Epstein done. They always try and act like they're on the side of believing justice should be served. But whenever it's Donald Trump involved, they'll always give these little indications and hints as in to say, but I think, like, the reason as to why he's saying this is because if Ghislaine Maxwell was to come out and probably tell the truth, there's probably a high chance that Bill Clinton, as well as Donald Trump, would be committed of doing wrongdoing. There's a reason for, in my head, this is so clear cut. Todd Blanche, he went down and had the interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. You know why? To kind of prep her ahead of time. Listen, say this, say that. Alleged, potentially, is what I'm saying. Say this, say that. And if you say this, say that, we are open to doing this and doing that. There's a reason. And I just can't believe that these MAGA defenders will come on CNN like this, and what they'll try to do is they'll try and sit there and act like, we don't know, we need more evidence. We know Ghislaine Maxwell is a liar. We know it already. So why would people be open to hearing from a confirmed liar? Is it because she could potentially clear Donald Trump? Who knows?
From 2006.
No, it has not happened. All you have to do is look. All you have to do is release the files as compelled by an act of Congress.
Correct.
All but one representative in the House voted to release it. It was unanimously passed in the Senate, and the president signed it. This is law. This is not an argument. And the DOJ and the president and the administration is violating the law that the president signed. I don't want to hear from Maxwell. I want all the files to be released.
And the
let's
files
start
are
there.
being
Let's start there.
It's also not the first criminal, though, that this administration has tried to help. Like, I think that we are all missing the point of this in every circumstance, that this administration will do anything that they can to help somebody who is going to help them. And that's exactly what she's trying to promise right now to them on this stage. And he is willing to go through with that, just as he had with every other member of his cabinet and every other member of this administration.
He doesn't actually need help from Maxwell.
Well, then release the files.
Why is he acting like he needs
Wait,
help?
do you think
I
it
don't think
looks
he's acting
good
like
that
he needs
I'm not
help.
saying
acting like
that
a
there's
panicked
evidence
criminal.
of wrongdoing, but 6 million pages just came out. A lot of it redacted that Congress believes should not have been redacted, and they're going through it.
Well,
they went through it
some
today.
members of Congress believe that, correct?
Well, what's the difference? If you're reading
The difference
a report,
is that the people
no,
have
no,
come
no.
out
You're
and
making
spoken
it
out in
political.
favor of.
You're making
But
it
of course it's
political, and
political. When you've got
this is a criminal
Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie
investigation.
out there who have been very critical of the president. One is running for president, and he thinks this is going to help his career. The other one is being primaried because of Donald Trump. So these are two people who
You just
clearly
name was a
have
Republican and a
Do you guys see? Remember what I just said earlier? Like, this issue shouldn't be an issue where people try and pick sides on things. But do you see what he's just done there? How he says, oh, one is he's been primaried, obviously talking about Thomas Massie, and was trying to run for president, obviously talking about Ro Khanna. Those kind of undertones, the undertones of what he's trying to do, like, that shouldn't be here. But the reason as to why it is here is because he feels like his president is being attacked, and he's obviously a Donald Trump sycophant. He's trying to run defense for Donald Trump, so potentially Donald Trump will notice him in order for Donald Trump to do something or give him something or recognize him down the line. And it's just sick, because there should be no defending anything here.
Democrat that are bipartisan in that capacity, which is something that you don't often see in this day and age, right?
It's not legitimate what you're saying. This is
How is it
not
not legitimate?
because this was a.
It's not political at all. None of
Can
this
I
is
speak, or do you
political.
have to just keep repeating?
let's admit that it's political.
Let me
Yeah,
just
I
make my
agree.
one
I
point.
think it is.
Let's admit
This
that.
is a criminal investigation from 2 different indictments in 2 different places on one person who is now dead. This didn't become political until the DOJ decided that the Trump administration ran on a campaign that we're releasing the Epstein files as soon as we get into office. And as soon as they were asked to release the Epstein files, they gave empty binders out in the White House in February of 2025 with nothing in them. And then from then, they hid it. And then we had to go to Congress and get a law put on the books to get the files released. Now,
After
wait, I'm not
4
done. You had
years
your
of
point.
not doing
Then they released the
anything.
file. And they don't tell us in advance that it's 6 million pages worth of documents. They told us the year before that they already looked through the file. The DOJ issued a memo and said, we looked through the file, July of 2025. There's nothing to see here. Everybody go home. President Trump said the same thing. Everybody move on. There's nothing to move on from. This is huge. And Maxwell is just sort of a prop put up there, and they gave her an extra chance to ask for a pardon again. And the fact that the president, and I'm almost done with my point, and then you're on your own, the fact that the president did not say there's no way that this convicted sex trafficker is ever getting a pardon from me, that's the problem that we're all sitting with right now.
But I don't think
giving her
people
the
are sitting with that as a problem. This idea that this wasn't political from the beginning after 4 years of the Biden administration and Democrats who had complete
Of course
control
you're gonna have to go to
did
the Biden
literally nothing.
administration.
Yes,
Guys, just pinpointing again. You see what he's done there? He did it again.
because you're pretending
His
that it wasn't political.
prosecution was
So
during
why
the Trump
pretend?
administration
Why pretend?
1.0?
There is general agreement
that's a political
across the
talking
board
point.
about several talking points, right?
What are
She's
the
evil.
agreement
She
on?
deserves to be in jail.
Okay,
Period. I don't
okay.
think she has that much
She is
to
in
offer.
jail.
However, this idea that you're playing
Push you in
here
jail
that-
because of your president,
But
but-
the idea that you're playing here that there's no politics at play is just absolutely
Okay,
absurd.
but it's a
Jason, let me ask you this, because I mean,
These bu-
the vote in the Congress was bipartisan.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was nearly unanimous.
Yes.
So, I mean, if there's politics being played, it's now by both sides.
Oh no, I think politics are
So,
being played on both
I
sides.
mean,
to be clear,
but I don't
this idea
understand.
that
That
one
doesn't-
side is playing politics is just it's flatly false.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think that's actually the accusation. I think the accusation isn't that the Trump administration is playing politics. The accusation is that they're trying to protect people, whether it's Trump or other people. That's the accusation.
Well, so I actually
So that's
agree
not political,
to a
because
degree
a lot of
on
these
that.
other men, they don't
Yeah,
have ties
sure.
to politics. They have ties to all kinds of different things.
I
So
don't disagree
that's
with
not
you on that
political.
point. I think that there is truth to that. However, I also think in that truth is that there are people who are named in the documents who aren't actually guilty of anything. And I think some of the reluctance to just put out all of the documents, number one, is because we don't want to just smear someone who is mentioned in the documents. And I think that that's fair for anyone to point
So
out.
look,
And
let me just make a quick. Let
think
me
everyone-
let me just make a quick
Well,
note here.
American
Hold
politics
on.
side.
But you
Not
keep
the
saying,
point.
however, after every statement that you make, as if you're conceding a point when you're not. That, however, is operating as a negation. I'm sure you know this already. But when people say that, it basically the however.
So you think everyone
no,
who's
the however
mentioned
invalidates
is
everything
guilty?
you said before that.
It's not,
That's the
it may
problem.
not-
That is not a
hold on,
concession.
It may not
It is
be
an obliteration
everyone.
of
It
the
may
fact.
not be everyone, Jason. But look, there's a reason that people think that there is a lot of smoke here that needs to be investigated. Bunch of emails with the senders' names redacted. Now, let me just make a note. The DOJ says their emails have been redacted for privacy reasons. But here's some of the emails. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. Another email. The key are the 14 to 15-year-olds. I am a sexual pervert because I say they are now of reproductive age. Being called a sexual pervert is no fun. Another email. I met redacted today. She's like Lolita from Nabokov, femme miniature. Another email. I just saw the most beautiful little girl on Madison with soft blonde hair. Again, a lot of smoke. And then the DOJ, all they keep saying is there's nothing to see here. Nobody should be charged except for Epstein and Maxwell. That's what Todd Blanche has said. And people think that's suspicious. Don't you think that
no,
that's a
I do
reasonable
think
thing
that
to
is
think?
suspicious, and I do think that is reasonable to ask for all of the data. But it doesn't mean you do it in an irresponsible way. There have been some of the emails that
Sure,
clearly
but I
point
guess
to
the
perverted
issue-
behavior that should be
it's
outed.
not, I get the point about doing it responsibly. They're not doing it at all. They've told us they are not doing it at all. Todd Blanche has repeatedly said that there's no reason to believe that anyone else should be charged. I don't think it's unreasonable for people to hear that and say, huh?
Oh, I
How's that
agree,
possible?
and I would have and did hold the same position for 4 years when nothing was being done. And so there's one of two things: both parties decided, or both presidencies decided to cover something else up, or maybe they don't yet have the evidence that we think we need in order to charge. Both of those things can also be true, and I do think that that is a reasonable point. to be made.
I think you're right, but I think there's no explaining the lack of initiative to even engage in investigation, which is what we are also seeing now.
Right, which,
And you're
which
trying to
the
make them
survivors
parallel.
are
There are three major differences here. Number one, the sitting president today, unlike Biden, is mentioned over 1,000 times in the emails that we have seen so
What were
far.
some of the
One second.
What were some of the
No, you got to let me
mentions?
finish my
You're
three.
dropping that bomb without giving the context.
context. Are you gonna mention context?
Explain it.
Oh, you got to let me finish?
Are you gonna
All
let
thank
her
you.
cry?
Thank you. That's great. The second one is that Congress has passed legislation to compel this, which did not exist during Biden. And the third one, which is the most important one, is that now the survivors have banded together to ask themselves that the full documents be released. Those three conditions did not exist under Joe Biden. They exist now. What Biden isn't proud of it is a real problem. Is a real problem.
It's a valid question.
I have not met a single person who can go back and change a single minute that happened before. But we can all today just make an affirmative statement that yes, all of this should be exposed, and anyone who knew about it and participated in it should be exposed and brought to justice. They are. The DOJ is arguing against that.
Yeah, but no one's really arguing against it. But your 3 points, 10 seconds. Number one, when we're saying how many times he's mentioned, they include article links and URLs that have his name in it, and we should point that out. Number two, the real reasons why it didn't happen under 4 years, no one's going to answer that question. You're saying that now we have the people to do. Okay, well then explain why for 4 years we didn't. And then the third point,
Democrats were asking
let me
to
finish,
investigate
let me finish my last point.
before the Biden administration.
You do, in fact, have victims who are calling for it, but there are also victims who don't want their names out there. And there has been criticism of the DOJ rushing to get out some of these documents because they didn't do full redactions of every single person.
No, nobody is asking about their names being out there. What they're saying is that they specifically don't want their names out. That is part of the travesty of this, is that the DOJ has published their names and some of their photos and some of their addresses. That is part of the tragedy
We gotta
of
leave
this.
it there, guys. Next for us, is ICE really a...
I mean, honestly, when it comes to these people, they're just a different bunch, MAGA. Like this, like we said, this shouldn't be a left or right thing, pointing the finger. I mean, and I would say, listen, if the Biden administration was covering this up, that's a huge issue for me. A very, very huge issue. I saw a video, Brian Tyler Cohen, he explains the reasoning as to why it didn't come up during Biden's administration. But what I would say to it is this. Number one, I don't like whataboutery when it comes to the trafficking of young women. I don't like whataboutery. That's the first thing. Number two, Joe Biden didn't run on the idea of releasing the Epstein files in order to put him in a position to get him into office. He didn't do that. That was Donald Trump. Number three, Joe Biden's not mentioned in there. Kamala Harris wasn't mentioned in there. Donald Trump is multiple times. And this stupid response that they're giving, the context, URLs and links, it doesn't matter. Epstein literally spoke about Donald Trump directly himself. And the way that it is that these people, as usual, just like this administration, they try and act like we don't have eyes. They try and act like we can't see. We've seen the type of the pictures and the videos of Donald Trump hanging around with Epstein, looking like best friends. I'm not saying that's any wrongdoing, but it definitely looks like they're our best mates hanging around. We've literally seen the way that Donald Trump used to conduct himself in his thought process, talking about grabbing them talking about going behind in a beauty pageant while women are naked, etc. We've seen his thought process. If it has changed back then, do I think it has? No. I still think he's a vulgar old man, even now. But we've seen it. So one can take a look at his history and they can take a look at the type of person that Epstein was. And I'm not saying we can come to a conclusion on the fact of Donald Trump being in the Epstein files, but it would not be a shock or a horror to think and believe that allegedly Donald Trump could be found guilty of doing some wrongdoing. I'm not saying he is, but that's not something that's too far away from reality. So when these people come on the on the show and they try and run cover for Donald Trump, in my opinion, it's just the height of stupidity. It genuinely is, because exactly like I said, in my opinion, you can't really sit here and try and act like it's a clear-cut fact that Donald Trump has done anything wrong. Listen, I don't care whether it was Donald Trump. I don't care whether it was Bill Clinton. Hell, I wouldn't give a damn if it was Barack Obama, if it was Joe Biden. Anybody who is engaged in any wrongdoing to do with children, you need to be held accountable. Okay? You need to be held accountable. And that's as simple as it is. But as usual, guys, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. While you guys are down there, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button purely for the YouTube algorithm. And hit subscribe if you're interested in clips like these. But if you don't want to hear my commentary throughout and towards the end, do not hit that subscribe button. But if you do, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you get notified every single time we upload a brand new video. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next clip.